The Emperor of Mankind is an individual who was iconic to Warhammer 40,000, but in regards to actual concrete information outside of theory, we don't know a lot. But what we do know implies a lot of things about who he would become as a person, and overall how he thinks, feels, and behaves. We know that the Emperor of Mankind was born somewhere in the region of North America, and lived a decently comfortable life during his early years. However, this upbringing would begin to change. The Emperor would have his first encounter with the powers of the warp. He took a vacation with his girlfriend and a few other friends to a remote cabin somewhere in the forest. This event would end in disaster, as while they were investigating the actual cabin and just snooping around, because that's what young people do, they found a chaos artifact. Not really knowing what it was or how it worked, they played some audio recordings of that chaos artifact that a professor from a nearby college had recorded. As such, a spirit or demon, something along those lines, got released and started to possess his friends and his sister one by one, resulting in him having to dismember and disembowel his once siblings and friends in order to stay alive. This would be the world's first true encounter with the machinations of the warp. Despite the obvious signs that further investigation is a bad idea, he continued to look at the book, reading it, trying to figure out what to do, and maybe using it to try to put everything back, which, while a valiant attempt, is something he did not know how to do. Day would break, and he thought he was fine, but a demon would grab him from behind and fly him through the forest, briefly letting him get possessed before the sun truly broke, causing the demon to be scared away. After trying to escape again and failing, he decided he was going to spend one more night at the cabin and try to do his best to stay alive. But then a few more visitors came, one of them being the daughter of the college professor who owned the cabin. When the others arrived, he started to shoot at them. The house was barricaded and he was predictably going insane, so they shoved him in the basement. During which, they also began to investigate the book, because the daughter of the professor had gone on an expedition to find more pages of said book. And after playing some more audio recordings and figuring out that her mother had gotten possessed by the same demon that he had released, this demon rose up from the cellar floor and began to attack him. And after the Emperor successfully escaped from the cellar, things began to get worse, because the demon hopped from the mother to another member of the group that had just arrived, resulting in the Emperor having to chop him apart. During this battle, another member runs out into the forest, which resulted in them dying because the forest itself began to shift and change, removing any escape route to the outside world because of the demonic forces at play. Despite this, the other member forces the daughter and the Emperor at gunpoint to go look for the other person, which results in that guy dying and the Emperor getting possessed again and beginning to attack the daughter. But he was able to shake the possession off because the daughter showed him a picture of his late girlfriend, I guess through the power of love or something. After the daughter realized that you could actually send the demons back using the book, the Emperor decided to prepare, creating a chain fist type weapon in the shed, using a chainsaw that they found, and a shotgun that was in the cabin. After the spell was casted, he would fight the physical embodiment of the evil force within the forest. But after the portal opened, it was not a portal that was able to send demons back to their realm, but to our past. And as a result, the Emperor and the demonic force would get sent back to the Middle Ages, 1300 AD specifically, where after the Emperor killed a flying demon would become hailed as a hero for the very first time, something he was admittedly uncomfortable with, but would learn to accept over time, would get captured by King Arthur, and was planning to be executed as he is mistaken for a member of a rival warlord's army. A wise man believed the Emperor to be the promised one, who would fall from the sky to save them, but despite his protests, they would send the Emperor into a pit with a demon. After briefly running around and trying to defend himself, the wise man would throw the Emperor's chain fist, where the Emperor would then make short work of the demon. The Emperor would climb out of this pit, blow apart King Arthur's sword with his shotgun, and assert his dominance, something that would actually earn him a decent amount of respect from the king. The Emperor's duty was not done, however, as he would go on a quest to retrieve another chaos artifact, and he would encounter a demonic doppelganger of himself, and after killing him for a time, he would find this artifact, but would not say the proper spell to actually allow it to be used, instead birthing an entire army of the undead. The Emperor would retreat, heading back to the castle and bringing news of the incoming siege, being led by the demonic doppelganger, now risen from the dead. The Emperor would take command of the siege, usurping King Arthur and successfully leading everyone to victory. Even before the rival warlord's army showed up in support, they were going to win, showing for the first time the Emperor's true prowess as a commander, a combatant, and a leader. And while the chaotic forces were defeated for a time, the Emperor was sent back to the 20th century using the book's magic. and he was now filled with a new conviction and concern that chaos would be the undoing of humanity. He'd find various warp artifacts, using the travel through time to try to stop anyone from exploring the forces of chaos. Why he never used these time-warping abilities later on is never explained, but it can be inferred that some of the spells and incantations in the various books were highly useful in the first discovery of the true power of the warp. Without this, he would not venture to Molech, or create the Primarchs and their sons. These experiences crafted the man that would lead the greatest empire the galaxy had ever seen. And despite how difficult it was, the friends and family he lost were the first true martyrs of the Imperium and should be remembered as such. Now I can imagine some of you are wondering where I got this information. The answer is, that I just didn't. This is my April Fool's video. April Fool's, nah, you got pranked. This is not a very good prank. This is just the plot of Evil Dead, or Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, which are films that I admittedly love and adore, and I've watched so many times that I really don't need to re-watch them to remember the plots of. But yeah, no, April Fool's, this is a joke idea that I've had for like 5 or 6 months, and I figured, hey, this would actually be pretty good as an April Fool's video, and if it worked on some of you and you were all left incredibly confused, good. If those of you in the audience who were like, hey, wait a second, this is fucking Evil Dead, yeah, it is. That's what this is. But there is some weird similarity between Ash and the Emperor. I mean, they would both have experiences at a young age with the warp. They both were warriors chosen by destiny, basically, just trying to end up making the best of the situation. And you can kind of see that the Emperor was the end line to Ash's beginning, because every single time Ash got pulled back in, he would just keep trying to avoid and run away from things and just not have anything to do with it, and still settling on the reasonable assertion that he was the only one who was actually capable of doing anything. It also doesn't help that they look quite similar in the sense that they both have black hair and really good jawlines, just for some reason. They're both incredibly charismatic, and overall there are weird similarities between Ash and the Emperor. Small ones, but it's enough there where you could kind of be able to look at it and raise an eyebrow. Overall, thank you very much for watching this. This was fun for me to make. Really fun to write, honestly. I laughed really hard trying to do this voiceover at several moments because I would accidentally say Ash or this or that or whatever, or try to like make the absurdity of this not more absurd than it already is. But if you want to know what actually happens in this, just go watch the Evil Dead movies. You can find them at a video store. Well, actually, I don't think video stores even exist anymore. God. But like, you can find DVDs or VHS tapes at a thrift store. You can just find a way to watch the Evil Dead movies. And also, watch Ash vs. Evil Dead. It's literally the best thing in the entire Evil Dead franchise, in my opinion. And I'm sad that Bruce Campbell is retiring from playing Ash, and I don't think he ever will, but that series was a really good send-off to the character, and Evil Dead has been a remarkably consistent franchise. So, if you're interested, go watch it. Happy April Fool's Day. Thank you all very much for watching. If you'd like to consider supporting the channel, please consider becoming a member. And thank you very much to the channel members. Your support means a lot. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a great night.